Is my room a mess? Yes. Are we going to talk about it? No. So I recently just finished the second draft of my story, Embers, and I am so excited. It came out to about 75,000 words, which is really good. It's like the longest thing I've ever written, and I'm just so excited to finally be on with the second draft. For reference, I finished the first draft in about 2020. It took me about a year to write the first draft because I was in 2020 and I had nothing to do, so I spent a lot of time writing. Which, yes, taking 4 years to finish the second draft of something is kind of ridiculous, but also I am busy. So I just wanted to talk about the writing process now that I'm done with it and kind of where to go next. If anything, just for myself. Today I finished rereading through the entire draft that I just finished. A few editing things I learned from the last time I finished an Embers draft. So when I finished the first draft of Embers, I went through and highlighted everything I didn't like and wanted changed. The problem is, all I did was I just highlighted it in red if it was bad and green if it was good, but I didn't ever put why if it was bad. Like, I would just highlight it red, being like, this needs to be changed, and it's like, okay, what about it needs to be changed? So it was not very helpful for me to look back on. However, with this draft, I went a little more in depth. I still highlighted things that I liked in green. As far as things I didn't like, though, I'm doing all this on Google Docs. I'd highlight whatever section I didn't like, and then I'd leave myself comments in order to go back through and read. And I think that was very helpful in helping me kind of work through what I didn't like in the story. And it'll help me remember, as I'm looking through this reference, what needs to be changed in the future. As far as changes that are being made, I think the story itself is going to be the same for the most part. I think I've ironed most of that out. The biggest thing is pacing. It is very quickly paced, and because of that, I felt like there wasn't enough time given to the characters. I love all these characters very dearly, but I feel like there just was not enough time given to really get to know them. And I'm not totally sure how to fix that. I've always had a problem with pacing. Like, I always underwrite, and I always pace my books way too fast. Like, I follow a lot of different writers and stuff on Instagram, and I've seen a lot of them talking about, like, oh, I accidentally wrote 100,000 words, and I'm like, I nope. Trying to fit in more scenes where you can get to know the characters better, I think, will be really good. In general, the characters are what need the most work. We need to learn about them more. The other thing is, in the book, the main character builds this romantic relationship with this other character, and they have about one chapter together before things really hit the climax, and that was way too fast. I feel like the build-up to the relationship was really good, but once they were in the relationship, there was very little time spent on them together before it all went to heck. So I just feel like I need to focus on that a little bit more. The other thing is Jackie. So I have this character named Jackie, and I love her. She seriously needs some rewrites, though. I feel like, and this is not just a problem with this draft, I've really struggled to find her character voice. What I was trying to do was trying to make her a polar opposite of the main character, so that there would kind of be some differences between them. I don't think that's honestly the right approach, because these two are supposed to be like best friends. And not that people can't be friends with people who are the opposite of them, but I don't know, it just, they didn't mesh very well. The direction I want to go in, and we'll see if this actually happens, because, writing takes a life of its own when you actually start doing it. The plan right now is to have Jackie, instead of being this very bubbly person who's obsessed with superheroes, because the whole story is centered on superheroes. I probably should have explained that. No, I'm not. I don't want to refilm this. Okay, whatever. We're moving on. Anyway, Jackie was a very bubbly person, obsessed with superheroes. That was kind of her, and she played soccer. Those were her three main things, and I want to change that. I think rather than being super bubbly and optimistic the whole time, I want her to be more relaxed. Like, she's still probably optimistic, but she's not, in your face about it. Additionally, with Jackie, I want to make her interested in superheroes. It's something she's interested in, but she's not, obsessed. At least not in a fangirly way. So Jackie as a character does not have any superpowers. That's, one of the things about her. She doesn't have any superpowers. No one in her family does. So I think as someone who is not part of that world, she would find the idea of powers and superheroes really fascinating. And I think we're going to lean more into that angle of it, rather than it's just, oh my gosh, Ember and the other superheroes, they're so cool, and, stuff like that. That's Jackie's plans going forward. The other characters that need some help are Marco and Aaron. So These two are siblings of the main character, and Erin is like really important, and she's in a lot of scenes in the first half of the book, and Marco's in a lot of scenes in the last half of the book. But I feel like once we leave the first half of the book, Erin becomes kind of useless. Prior to the second half of the book, Marco is useless. And so I need a way for them to be more useful throughout the entire book. Here's the hard thing, is each of those characters have really important scenes I love, but there are so many characters in this book, and I'm really worried that I need to cut one of them, which is hard because I really like both of them. I think emotionally, Erin is a better character. Like, she's more developed. I feel like she helps the main character through more. However, Marco's powers are teleportation, and I feel like that is a more useful power plot-wise. I don't know. Okay. His changes are going to be surrounding Natalie's. When I first started writing Embers, the idea was this daughter of a superhero who doesn't have superpowers. That was the idea. But then I started writing it, and I was like, well, what if she had superpowers? And so I gave her powers. So I was trying to do this thing where it was like, oh, she doesn't have superpowers, except psych, she does. And as I've developed the story more, I just don't really like that angle. So in the third draft, it's not going to be like a secret that she has them. Like, it's going to be known to the reader and most of the other characters from the start. Emphasis on most. The way her backstory is developed now, everyone in her family is going to know, but she, as someone who is ashamed of her powers and who has to grow that confidence back after backstory TM. There are certain characters, such as Jackie and Connor probably as well, will not know about Natalie's superpowers. The rest of the characters are pretty solid. Solstice and Connor are in a good place. Monica, very much a side character. Like, I don't think she needs to be super relevant to the plot. She kind of just exists as kind of a reference to Natalie's old life and like her backstory. I feel like she could stand to be in a couple more scenes. The other thing is I kind of want to rework the final fight. I didn't like how the final fight turned out in the first draft, so I completely changed it for the second draft, and I still don't love how it turned out. I think currently the stuff that's happening in the fight scene in this draft is better, and the story behind it is better, and the motivations behind it are better. However, in the first draft, it was like a whole team up, like all the characters came together, and that didn't happen this time. It was only 3 of the characters, and technically 4, but 2 of the characters were left on the sidelines, and I kind of don't like that. I think I want more characters to be there, and I'm going to have to rewrite some stuff. Especially because in the first draft, the reason they go out to this final fight is because one of the characters gets kidnapped. I didn't have that this draft, and I instead have a really good scene where like the main character is talking to Jackie's and her family, and I really like that scene. If I want to go back to the kidnapping plotline, that scene has to be deleted and or moved. It doesn't have to do with the drafts or the plot I'm working on, but Embers has always been a standalone book. Like, the book itself is its own thing, and I don't necessarily want there to be sequels, but I do think I'd like to add more books to this universe. Specifically, I think things that happen between a lot of the older adult characters, I think that could be its own story in itself. And I think that'd be a fun prequel to write. The main superhero group in this book kind of coming together and defeating the villain that comes back in this one, who's referenced as like, oh, this is so hard to explain without giving away like the whole plot. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I want to write a prequel with some of these characters. I think that would be really fun. And then the other one is, so at the end of the book, that epilogue is just kind of the main character going off to college. Which, that's not really spoiler. I think that's a fair epilogue. But I'd really like to write a novella of just kind of her experiences at college. Like, nothing huge, but just kind of her, like, you know, post the story. Hey, I have all this crap I've dealt with, and now I've got to just go and be a normal person, and I've got to work through that. And then, like, also I think it'd be fun to kind of give her a better relationship than what she gets in her own book. But I don't know, I think it'd be a fun little thing to write. So that might be a side project I start working on. Anyways, this was just kind of a quick little video, more for myself than anyone else, but I thought it'd be fun to kind of pump out while I'm on spring break. my video essay that I'm working on is going to be out soon. It's going to be long. I don't know how long, but the script is already like 7 pages and it's like single spaced. So anyways, look forward to that. Stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!